Good morning. Welcome to Arc Live here from Network School. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. It's a beautiful day in paradise. I know you don't get to quite see what's out the windows, but believe me, it looks even better than it looks on here. So thank you for being with us. Again, Arc is here helping accelerate frontier founders as a layer 2 at Network School. We're doing that as a step towards building a charter city ourselves. You should come and visit us here. It's honestly incredible. Go to the website, take a look. But I want to dive straight into our first guests today. Ben and Thomas, thank you so much for being with me. How are you?
Very good, and thank you for having us.
Anytime. Thank you for coming. Why did you come?
It's a good question.
In Arc or here, like doing the podcast?
That's a good clarification. Yeah. Did you even realize you're doing a podcast? No. Yeah. Why did you come here to Arc at Network School?
Yeah. So I can maybe give some clarification. So we're 1 month ago, or 2 months ago actually, we were a bit in between projects. Me and Thomas, we've been knowing each other for the last 4 years. We co-founded the company. It went well for us for a few years. And after the end of this first company together, we decided to actually build a new one, build a new product from scratch. And we had some difficulties to start here and there, choosing the ideas, building the thing, just because we had some debt on our own company. So we thought, okay, I think we just need to go in a place where we have all what we need in terms of food, in terms of healthy things, sports, etc. And we're able to focus on building the new product we want to build. And Network School came, and we knew you from the first one of the first pop-up city in Lisbon with Arc. So we're like, okay, well, that could be a shot. So let's try it out. We made a call with you, and we thought, okay, it seems to be the perfect place. Let's go for it. It's 15,000 kilometers from home, and maybe more actually. And yeah, that's the thing. And we are here for 1 month, 1 full month, or just basically the only goal is to focus and to build the company and to do things that don't scale in order to get as much feedback on the product as possible to make it really, really good.
No, amazing. And has that worked? Have you achieved what you wanted to achieve?
Well, I think we did, and I think we can even add something on top of your explanation, which is that all these goals were directed to a simple single goal, which is to answer a question. That is, what do we want to do with our life and in the future? And
it's a big one.
It's a simple question. Yeah.
Let's be not ask too much, only in the next few months, few years. And I think we answered that question yesterday, or at least this week. So
I feel like that's a teaser.
Successful.
I feel like that's a hook. We should come back to the answer to the meaning of life in 10 minutes.
Exactly. So stay on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely right. So interesting, guys. Again, you guys are reasonably young. I am as well, obviously, and it's good, but there may be some slight generational differences here. So, what in your short lives led you here? What have you been up to? I guess I'm interested in what gets you to the point where you can be asking and considering such meaningful questions, But yeah, tell me the path to here.
Yeah, so I said we were in between projects, and our past projects was mainly focused in crypto. I say mainly, but it's actually 100%, 120% focused in crypto, and even sub-niches inside the crypto ecosystem. So that's how we understood a bunch of things about the notion of regulation, problems with United States. Now, United States is not a problem anymore in terms of regulation, but it used to be.
Sure.
We were a bit afraid about, should we gate the app to the United States people, this kind of stuff. So we kind of understood at this moment, okay, so state can actually be a problem, because before it was just the tax thing, but except from that, we didn't have any problem. But after knowing that, we heard about Network School when it launched, basically, and we just our ways just crossed at the moment where we stopped our previous company and started this one for the reason I explained before.
I mean, but you were an early influencer as well. Yeah. You're going to be giving all your comments back to me after this and going, look, if you want to be a pro like I was, right, you should be doing it like this.
Well, the quality is already better than what I did.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, in terms of technicality, yes, I wasn't like the best one on technical stuff. But in terms of views, we'll see.
Yeah. But fine, okay, so yeah, when did you first meet? What was the first project you worked on?
It was 4 years ago, I believe.
Yep.
And the interesting thing is we met in the metaverse. We met on the internet, actually. And that's because you had a YouTube channel. So serendipity, here we go. And I was interested by that guy that seemed quite smart. And no, it's true, because usually when you are interested into crypto and you look at it from an investment point of view, most of the videos you find are either gamblers or, how do you call that in English?
Retarded.
That exists. But I was thinking about looking at the crystal balls, trying to predict the future, drawing stuff. And
technical analysis stuff.
yeah, exactly. But to me, it's like astrology. I didn't get it. And you were like a reasonable investor. Okay, this is producing value. We should. That made sense. You had a thesis, which was already a big step. So I thought, okay, that guy is smart, and it seems like he wants to do stuff. And I was at university back then, and I wanted to do stuff. I had many people capable of doing stuff around me, but no one was fucking doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to discuss, because you knew that I had some knowledge about technical stuff, and we decided to do a hackathon. Obviously, won the hackathon.
Obviously.
Yeah, continued.
What was the hackathon? What did you win?
Well, basically, my goal was to get into blockchain development. It's pre-ChatGPT, so it's like not that easy to actually code.
Yep.
And I was already a developer, but well, I was a bit, I would say, intimidated by actually writing smart contracts, developing stuff on chain. So I knew this guy was commenting my videos often, and he was sharing his project about smart contract stuff. So I DM'd this guy. Well, he helps me a bit, just motivation-wise, probably more than oh, you should code this and that. I track here and there like few days, and I see a hackathon, and I see like the prices for the hackathon are pretty like high, especially because in crypto it's like this. Like it's pretty easy to win something in a hackathon. So I was like, okay, let's do it. I need a team. I asked Thomas. He was not really into it at the beginning. Then so the price was into it.
If I can give a little anecdote on that, I wanted to replace my computer.
Sure.
And at that moment, Apple released the new MacBook Air M2. That was super thin, super nice. And I went to the website, added all the options that I wanted, and the total price was 2,150 euros with the student discount, everything. And the price, if we split it, was
4,000
2,150 euros. Exactly what I needed. So I said, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to join.
Some more faith there.
And
Yeah.
we won. So
well, I think we didn't actually win. We were like third or second.
we won,
but we won the 2,000.
Okay.
And he built his Mac.
Yeah, it's here actually.
Oh, it's the same one now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started with some success when you guys were working together, but then you were in the StartNet ecosystem for quite some right while,
Yep.
all right, and that's where you first, I guess, like built and had some success together.
Correct.
Easy then, fine, yeah. Understated, right? But I guess what was really interesting about your journey through that, right, is that you were able to build products that many people use that were financially successful, and you were able to, I guess, sit back and really start asking some of these questions about sort of like what matters and what's worthwhile you spending your time on.
Yeah, but probably like to like not give us the credit you're giving us, we sit back just because like the product growth wasn't crazy anymore. So we just took the time to sit back because the business was giving us the time to sit back.
And actually, we didn't listen to it. It was telling us, sit back, take a step back and look at it. And we were always chasing the next thing. So I think this was an opportunity to take a bit of a step back.
Yeah.
Well, what are you building now then?
Okay, I go. So it's called Relance, and the idea is anybody needs customers. You want customers, and one way to get customers is just to get them to find you on Google, on ChatGPT, whatever they use to find an answer to their problem. And if you want to rank better on Google or on ChatGPT, you can, well, either spend half of your time that you could spend otherwise working on your product on that, trying to create content, that kind of stuff, or hire a team to do it for you. Thing is, both options suck. They either cost a lot of time or a lot of money, and thus they are not accessible to most people. What we are building is an agency that does it for you for 100 euros or dollars per month, which means that it's accessible to anyone. And the way we make it that cheap is because we use AI. At the moment, if you can afford to have a real team of humans, it's better to have a real team of humans. Thing is, probably in a few years, we will be better than even the team of humans. So we will not just get the customers that cannot afford a team of humans, but also the other ones, because we will be better. That's the pitch.
No. And again, you have basically built that from scratch here. You have launched and you have people that are paying you for this and it's working.
Yeah.
We launched actually the week before arriving here, but the product wasn't like at the bar of quality, at the level of quality we wanted.
Yeah.
So we basically rebuilt a big part of it, had a few clients, and yeah, now we have like more client requests than we need in order to make the product better. So now we're like in the beginning of actually making the product better, and in the next few months, like the goal will be really to make it very, very, very good. And once it will be very, very, very good, well, we'll just throw money at content ads and try to get as much scale as possible on the acquisition side.
We have a lot. Like, why are you guys so focused and locked in on this? Like, why?
Well,
I go.
Yeah, I'll go.
Two reasons. The first one is it is enjoyable. We like it. It's like a game. You've got all these metrics that you are trying to maximize, and that's fun. We like it. And second thing, we've got a lot of FOMO, because at least I do, and I think I convinced you a little bit that this is not something we will be able to do all of our life. When we will be old, we will miss energy, but also, well, AI is coming, and we've seen it in our team. Many people got replaced. And I strongly believe that at least I'm going to be replaceable very soon. And I fucking love feeling useful. It's a big egoist, right? So I want to enjoy it while it is possible.
No, I know that we have fairly similar views on that, right? But it's very interesting because it's changing the way that you're building your company, right? You may have been needing to hire people to help you get to even where you've got already, right? But instead that you're just, again, leveraging the latest AI, delivering far more, far faster. And again, you're not planning really to, like, again, what's very interesting, right, is that, in my position here, we're thinking about how can we help, capitalize the right kind of like founders, right? How can we maybe invest or help them get invested in? And you just have no interest in raising money. You don't need it, right? Like it's very, very challenging, right? Like I think you would be an incredible sort of investment, but you don't want it. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, we've been like with a team in the past, and we understood like maybe it's probably half. It's like half AI, half our mistakes, because there are people that are actually successful at scaling product teams. But we understood that, especially for software, right now with Cursor and AI and everything on the product, we're able to maybe with like at the time when we had 3 devs, now with 1 dev, we can do like 60% or 66% of the work of 3 devs. It's not only like the pure productivity, it's also the fact that when 3 devs are working together, you have now to like reviews, pull requests, and like do a lot of sprints and do a lot of things around being a team. And when Thomas is basically working alone on the product, on the code, well, it's just, well, is it at the level that I want in terms of quality? I test, I see, then commit, and then that's good to go, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically the feedback loop is way faster. And I think it's just like if you're actually able to build the stuff in software, at least, if you're actually able to build the stuff that you want to build, well, why do you need to raise money? Because capital in general in software products is going to people coding or people actually doing stuff. But if you don't need the people anymore, well, you don't need to raise the money. And the only reason I see to raise money right now is like, imagine you have a big shot company like Cursor, Replit, or like the vibe coding stuff. Right now, it's probably worth it to raise money just to throw money at ads, get the market before everyone, and like maybe lose money for a bunch of years.
Yeah.
But if you're, especially at the beginning, like the seed stage, well, you don't need the money. You just need to figure out a good product, and then maybe you need the money later to throw money at ads and get the distribution. But I see like raising money now is useful to get distribution and go faster in the distribution side, but not to build a product. If you're actually like skilled, which is problematic if you're not, because this is where you have to raise money. And probably if you're not able to build your own product, you don't want, as an investor, I don't want to give you my money. So
yeah, sure.
So like at the stage we're in, I don't see any possibilities.
I see one. And it's actually a bit of a trick, but we don't need money. However, there is something that, why it will be relevant to give an equity. It's if we could get instantly more customers. Probably that would be a good swap.
But it's not raising money.
But the point of raising money is you give up on equity, you give a slice of the cake to make the cake bigger. Money won't help us to make the cake bigger, but other things like having access to an audience might help us to do that. So if we are able, by giving up on 10% equity, to reach 1 million potential users easily, we will do it, probably. But no one gave us that deal yet.
Well, they rely on you being able to use the money to get the distribution, I guess, right? Is where it is. I mean, how big do you think what you're working on can be? I guess, like, what's your ambition for it?
Yeah. So if you look at the real estate, not real estate, SEO agency market, so just the agencies market in right now. So the web agencies market, the biggest kind of agencies is web agencies. So I'm going to build like web app for you, apps for you, website for you, this kind of stuff. This is the biggest market, and it's around like 150 billion a year. And this market, when you take, okay, what's the AI tool that is replacing this market? Well, this is Lovable, this is Replit, maybe Cursor in some way. And we're like, okay, so these companies, they went from zero to 100 million in like 2 years or 1 year and a half, or like it's incredible growth because it's working really well.
Yeah.
And then you look at, okay, what's the second post of agencies that can be like automated with AI? Well, you have marketing agencies. And inside these marketing agencies subcategory, you have a bunch of subcategories, You have ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, etc. And you have SEO. And SEO is the biggest in terms of market value. So it's around 50 billion a year. So we're like, well, on top of being the thing that we never actually focused on our past business because it was the boring thing, SEO is also one of the most valuable things for businesses. So like, this is probably a huge market to be in. And there is inside SEO a bunch of sub niches. So in terms of size, well, the market is 50 billion. So we'll see.
Seems like it's going to be extremely competitive, though, right? There's other people that are going for this as well, right? I think like everyone sort of like realizes like SEO is changing, like, yeah. I guess like, yeah, it's going to be very competitive, and you're going to have to, kind of like outcompete, and that's often why people raise capital, right? So they can just blast money inefficiently at other people and drown them out.
Yeah, but I think it's a good thing, the fact that it is competitive, because it's also very, very competitive for the customers. So the bullish case is actually to get people to start using our product. It works. They get customers, but they don't just get customers. they steal customers from the competitors. So it starts an arm race where everybody has to step up its game.
Yep.
And well, we are like arms dealer. We can sell to anyone.
Yep.
So if one guy is using Relance and is better, the competitor will have to use Relance.
Sure.
And then we might make a more expensive plan. Or
You back yourselves to outbuild people.
so we just have to be the best, I guess.
Simple.
But there is inside SEO a bunch of sub niches.
Yeah.
And most of like the competition that actually build quality products all go for the same sub niche, which is SaaS, because they come from that.
Sure. Yeah.
So like, which is SaaS and SEO for ChatGPT. Like they brand themselves as SEO for ChatGPT, and the target is SaaS products.
Yeah.
But SEO is way bigger than that. SEO is like e-commerce. That's probably one of the biggest niche. SEO is local businesses on maps. SEO is like basically all the businesses in the world, right?
Yeah, sure.
So at some point, we looked at all this market and we're like, yeah, there is way more than actually just helping Y Combinator browse SaaS micro Twitter bubble.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And so then if we loop back to the beginning, you said that yesterday you answered the meaning of life. Was it 42, or what, did you come up with a different unique answer?
Well, I don't think we answered the meaning of life. I think it's more like we accepted the fact there is no really meaning. You have to do what you want. And thing is, we like doing that. We looked at the alternatives. Some of them might be good, but this one is for sure good, so there is no risk to continue it. And also, the other opportunities that we are thinking about, like going to the beach and just enjoying the sun, might be feasible in a post-AGI world. So if we don't do this now, we might regret it.
Yeah.
Going to the beach, we can do it later, probably. So it's not a big investment. We're investing a few months to see how it's going. And then, well, we will either continue because it will work and it will make it even more enjoyable, or we will go to the beach.
Is that the same for you, Ben? It was just a beach just isn't good enough to outweigh the joys of late night coding, Saturday evening,
Well, I'm not sure, to be honest, yet. But I was like, I'm 100% sure we're doing the good decision here. But for me, it was like what you described, so building the business, or I don't know, more than beach. And even though the beach is not far from where I live. But
I mean, we can see it right there.
Yeah,
right? It's Twitter. Yeah.
That's true. But yeah, so that I'm not completely like I'm still blurry on the question personally. But I would just reassess in a few months when we'll have some more information about how Relance is doing.
You're going to be going great. So where does someone come and use this product? How do they get involved? How do they send you €100 a month? Where do they go?
Well, they can just go to relance.ai, and we'll send them clients organically.
Yep.
And the $100 a month is the detail behind.
Yep.
So you just go to relance.ai, and there is a free trial for 1 week, and you can also contact us if you want features, if you want anything within the app.
Okay.
Yep.
So relance.ai. Thank you so much for coming on and having a chat. I'm going to miss you guys when you've gone. I think you bring great energy to sort of the locked-in game and help us all stay inside when there's such a beautiful day outside. But no, pleasure. Thank you so much for coming here, and I look forward to seeing you lots more over the next decade, I guess. Thank you. brand. Do you have the same sort of like meditational life that it's much better to be sat in this chair than it is on the beautiful beach just 50 meters away?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
And why? Why do you think that's the case?
Wait, sorry, you mean like specifically like working instead of on the beach, or
I mean, we could be working on the beach, I guess, right? Would be like a happy middle ground. But yeah, I guess like, you know, again, you're someone that's choosing to be locked in here. You could be doing many, many other things. Why are you here?
well, I'm at NS because basically I quit my job to work on the product I'm working on now. And for like a month, I was just like in my apartment alone coding. I was like, well, this sucks. So I was like, okay, I'll go to a co-working thing in Thailand. And I didn't even know about NS at the time. And then like literally on the plane, I heard about this on a podcast. I was like, oh, this is way better. I'll come here instead. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Just dive into that a little bit more. Okay, so you were in New York, right? And you were
Chicago, yeah.
Chicago. So hacking away on your own. Decided that like you might as well not do this in a miserable city. You might as well go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Booked a flight to Thailand.
Yeah.
On the plane, we're listening to what podcast?
It was Michael Malice's podcast, and it was Balaji as a guest on there.
Okay. And he was like, "Hey, yo, come to NS," and you were like, "That sounds like a great idea."
Yeah.
Landed and then booked another flight. Like, how long did you spend in Thailand?
Well, okay, I was visiting a friend in China first for a few days. So this was on the plane to China.
Okay.
And then basically the second I landed there, I was like, I need to go to NS instead. This was like 5 days before the cohort started, like July 1st.
And what was it that Balaji said on that podcast that made you realize that that's the right way to go as opposed to somewhere random in Thailand?
I mean, it just seemed way better than Thailand. Like I thought people were gonna be more like, you know, locked in, more like ideological alignment, less hippie stuff. Yeah.
I wanted to see, like, you know, if this was more Balaji and we'd get a laptop up now and put a graph. This word locked in, I feel like I didn't use this word
it's
until.
Very overused here. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we use it all the time right here in NS. I feel like I hadn't even really like heard that word until this year and being sort of like here, right? But I feel it is like the theme and what people kind of use. Do you think it's a good place to be locked in now you're actually here then?
I think it depends like on the person, honestly. Like, I think some people have a really hard time locking in here, to be honest. Like,
there's a lot of fucking distractions if you want to be distracted, right?
Yeah, like actually if you want to lock in, maybe you should just like go sit in your apartment in Chicago. I probably got a bit more work done there, but
yes,
I'm happier here.
Yes. That is so interesting, right? There is just like, if you don't have something to do, there is something to do every minute and every hour of the day here.
Yeah, I think if you're not like laser focused on some goal, even if like the goal can be just like, oh, I'm exploring ideas, but you need to have like some goal in mind, like that you're laser focused on, or otherwise you can just kind of like, you know, like bounce around from event to event, feeling like you're like being productive.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, like you still haven't done anything.
Yes.
So I think it's not like you come here and you immediately are automatically going to like reach, like you're going to do something productive. Like that's not the case. You really need to have like some laser goal. No,
it's so true. It's so true. I do think a lot of people come here, and I think it's a brilliant place if you come here where, you know, the expression of it, where you sort of are on deck, where you're sort of like potentially working out what's next. Because again, you don't have to just lock in. There is basically all of this inspiration and all of these people that are here doing all these crazy different things, but you've got to be able to turn that off when you decide that you actually have something and you have a goal and you want to kind of like get on with stuff, right?
And you also need to be able to do that exploration like intentionally.
Yes.
And not just talk to like if you're trying to explore, like, I don't know, meeting new co-founders, you can't just like, you know, sit and talk to the same people every day, which is like an easy thing to fall into. You need to actually be like actively looking for these people.
Yeah.
New ideas.
No, I totally agree. It is very interesting, right? You have to be more deliberate to get what you need out of this. So what did you come here hoping to get out of it? What have you been being deliberate about? And do you think you've held yourself to that deliberateness well?
Yeah, I think, I mean, fingers crossed, there's a few things still in the works, but I mean, yeah, I still have like been building my product. I'm on the App Store. I was also looking for a co-founder, and I found one that's maybe still, we're definitely working together, but it's still in the works.
Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, what was the question?
Well, no, maybe tell us a little bit. What are you focused on then? What are you building? What come to fruition whilst you're here?
Okay, so my app is it's called Modique. It's like Kickstarter for clothing. So basically, influencers or community leaders can make designs using AI on my app. They post them, share them with their audience, and then there's like a pre-order process. And if it gets enough support, then we make it. And then the designer gets some commission, and you also get some rewards if you were an early backer of it. So, yeah.
No, it's super cool. And so again, so you've started working on that earlier kind of this year,
Yeah.
and then like how have things developed then over the months that you've been spending here?
Yeah, so the first like few months I was here, I was just still building it, trying to get like the app fully working. And basically now I've been launching. So I'm working with like, actually my first influencer that I'm gonna like launch a line with was also someone I found here. So that's super cool. And then also like I'm gonna be partnering with someone else here to do like some more like sustainable microplastic free stuff, and hopefully be selling like merch to like yoga studios who are looking for like organic clothing with like no microplastics and chemical dyes and whatnot. So yeah.
Now, I remember when we were first talking about this, right? Like, it's like for those that are maybe like less aware of how the sort of like the fashion industry sort of like works these kind of like days, right? There is a lot of fast fashion. There are now some incredibly large fashion sort of like or apparel kind of like companies that just create thousands of different products at very kind of like short notice, like very, very fast fashion. But often you're buying things online that haven't even been made yet.
Yes.
So do you want to just talk a little bit about, I guess, like the current state of the sort of like industry, and I guess like maybe the opportunity that you saw there?
Yeah, so basically like kind of what inspired me to do this in the beginning is like I was kind of reading about how like Shein's like, the biggest clothing company in the world, like 100% fast fashion, like cheapest stuff you can find. Basically their business model is actually really interesting because what they do is, what a normal fashion brand does is they go to like these conferences every year where they decide like what's in style for the next 2 years.
Yep.
And basically all of these like big fashion brands like American Eagle and whatnot, they're just gonna like decide what's in style for the next 2 years, and then all of these companies are gonna basically make like similar stuff to each other, and they kind of like to tell the market. They tell the market what's in style, through these magazines and just through what they make, what they're posting on their social media, right? Shein actually took a completely different approach. They said, we don't know what the market wants. We'll just let the market tell us what it wants. And the way that they did that was by basically spamming their website with like millions and millions of items that you can buy. And you can't actually have produced all of those things. So what they do is most of the items that you can purchase on Shein, they've never even made it before. It's just like some photoshopped idea. Maybe they've made the same thing in different color and they're just changing the color, right? That's pretty reasonable. But you can extend that to like other modifications as well.
Sure.
So most of it you can buy, like, if you go to their homepage, there's like some like trending or whatever, super popular things. Those they've definitely made.
Sure.
But if you scroll to like, I don't know, page 10, probably that product doesn't exist. And what they're gonna do is after somebody buys it, then they'll start producing it.
Yep.
And they can afford to do that because it's such low quality. So I was basically thinking like, okay, what if you could do that, but for higher quality? Well, then you need more than one order probably, because it's gonna cost you more than like 5 cents per shirt to produce. You can't just like put 100 and then hope for the best. So then basically, okay, what if you could do the Shein business model where you can make anything, let the market tell you what it wants, and then also do it for higher quality instead of this like super cheap way. And then the way you can afford to do it for higher quality is if you have like pre-orders and crowdfunding of like real interest.
No, super interesting. I guess like probably crazily, there'll be a bunch of people watching this that haven't heard of Shein sort of like before, right? Because it's more of like an Asian sort of like phenomenon, right? But again, it's like the largest apparel company in the world. It's making, I'm assuming, like hundreds of millions of items a month at this sort of point, probably in terms of volume.
Yeah, I think the revenue is $40 billion, and
the average
item cost is below $10 for almost everything.
Yeah. Okay, so like 4 billion items across that, so a couple 100 million, 300 million items a month. So yeah, pretty incredible, right? But very interesting. That's like part of the reason they perhaps grown so fast is just like the customer driven sort of approach, right?
Yes.
And I guess that you're putting that on steroids whilst also creating, I guess, like a more efficient sort of like business model and approach to even like doing that fast fashion, right? And solving a problem just like fast fashion, maybe, again, you're going to keep the fast of it, but like dramatically improve the, I guess, like the quality of the items that are kind of like coming out of this.
I think as a trade-off, it won't be as fast. But I think we can do like maybe 1 month turnaround.
Yeah.
Which is not which is actually not any worse than what Shein does on the products that they've not made yet. So
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, and so just like, to talk us through more literally than that, right? Okay, so like, because I know you have a ton of customers. Network School itself is using you, like, this is getting gone from zero to something with substance like quite quickly. How are people using this? What's it looking like at the minute? Give a real example, I guess, of this happening.
I mean, there have been, most of my, other than so I have one influencer who I'm partnering with, and basically this is going to be out probably in a month. But basically what he does is he makes fun facts videos. Like, for example, he'll do like a series on a country. Like, he did a series on India, like a bunch of videos about India. And basically what he's going to do is make a series of videos about space and make a series of space shirts. So he'll do like a video on Saturn, and then we have like these like super HD images from NASA that are like Saturn in the night sky, like super cool shirt. I should have brought a shirt with me, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Wait, and
actually, I might have one.
Yeah, and then they can basically, but that influence will immediately be able to promote these items that they sort of like want, but they've incurred like no cost of production, no cost of just anything, right?
Yeah,
and they can just do anything that they can.
So he'll be able to do this video, like show this cool graphic, explain it, and then be like, okay, you can buy this shirt with this super cool graphic on it, and no cost of production at all. Literally just an idea, like a prompt from him, like saying like, oh, put the cosmic background radiation on the shirt, and then it does it. Yeah.
And again, this is something that any influencer could effectively use to basically to distribute products to their sort of like their audience, and I guess that monetize their audience, but also like, I mean, deliver things that people actually want, I guess.
Exactly. So basically an influencer who does like outfit of the day videos, instead of just taking whatever American Eagle says that you have to wear, they can design their own stuff and put it in their videos, and also like make more money than they would have with the American Eagle products.
And where does this evolve, do you think, then? So like, this is this sort of stage now, like doing partnerships with influencers, working with some, bigger sort of like companies, and like sorting out your sort of logistics. Like, how does this unfold for you sort of like over the next year, do you think?
I mean, I don't know.
But obviously your ambition is that the opportunity here, right, if you think, is to create something as large as Shein, which is, I guess, like just a hell of a lot more efficient, preserving the kind of like the user focus.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think like, basically the opportunity is to just like be like the place, like where instead of having these big brands, like you just have like whoever has a following, whether that's like an influencer, a celebrity, whoever. Like a brand is really just like an influencer and a brand are like basically the same. It's just like something that can put a label on something. So basically anybody who has the trust to put a label on something can just come to my platform and then get clothing made. They don't need to be like a legacy fashion house or even have like any like clothing experience. They just need to have trust and an idea. So I do think it has the opportunity to just disrupt like a huge portion of the market.
No, super interesting. And then again, like, Emily, like, what were you doing in Chicago before coming here?
I was doing quant trading.
Was that fun?
It was fun. It was fun on a day-to-day basis, actually. Basically, the way I describe that is like, it's like 2 hours a day you're playing a video game, and then and then the rest of the day you're like doing like software engineering to make your team better at the video game. So I do have some like dev experience from that, but it's more like, it's the type of development where, I mean, it works really well in startups actually, because it's the type of development where it's just like ship as fast as possible, because like every second that this thing doesn't work, you're losing like $10,000, right? So and honestly, like on a day-to-day basis, it was fun. But it's more like, okay, at the end of the month or the year, you're like, okay, what did I get done? Even the week, honestly, you're just like, what did I get done? It's like, oh, all I did was play a video game really well. Well, I have nothing against making lots of money, but it's more that like, you didn't like create anything, you didn't build anything, you just played a video game really well where there's like 5 firms playing again. Like basically like you just like went to work and played poker.
No, sure. No wonder it was enjoyable. There are like lots of professions. Like I kind of feel like when I used to code, I used to feel like it was a bit like playing a game. Even like it was like problem solving, but like solving puzzles, whatever it was, all the time, and actually like far more creative in kind of like that as well. I think there are, lots of sort of like quite Yeah, they have like the dopamine hits and reward functions like built into sort of like the actual like kind of like roll as well when you're going well, and it's not a bad day, I guess, at the office. Do you have any funny stories of like it's like a really bad day quant trading at the office?
A really bad day.
Were you through any like real market like capitulations at any point?
I mean, there was the day that like Michael Blomberg, who's a guy who has a name similar to Bloomberg, and actually he usually tweets true things, but instead he didn't. He tweeted like this, thing like, oh, Trump administration considering 90-day pause on tariffs. Okay, markets go up. Like I think S&P went up maybe 5% in a few hours, which is insane.
Yep.
And then this is all on a rumor. This guy, who has a name similar to Bloomberg, tweeting that the Trump administration is considering this pause.
Yep.
And then it comes out, no, they're not. Markets go straight back down. So you see like the graph of S&P that day is like it looks like the ARC logo actually. But like for some crazy just rumors. And then actually a few days later, they came out and said like, actually, we're gonna do the 90-day pause. It has to go right back up again.
No, good fun.
Yeah.
But again, and then back to you being here then, so again, so you came, you changed your flight, changed your plans, came here, and you found that was such a good decision that you're planning on staying here for a little while.
Yeah. I'm planning on staying for, I don't know how long, but.
And why, I guess, like, you think this is the right place to sort of like to build Medique? Like why here?
No, I do. I guess like the alternative is like I go to New York. And I think just this is like a better environment for me to be like working in. Yeah.
No, it makes sense. Well, where does someone find Medique? Where does someone start? Like, the next time they do a podcast, where do they, how do they start, leveraging you to leverage their brand and to start providing things their audience want?
Yeah, they can go to the App Store. So it's MODIQUE, or you can go to the website, same name, .co.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for speaking. And pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Cheers, please. Thank you very much. Oh, I know I made a comment last week about sort of the new team that's working on this. And I'm hoping that with that fussing around in the chairs, that you're getting a camera angle that makes sense, because we did have to murder a few people after the last sort of like live with that kind of like camera angle. So again, new staff, but I love them all and they're doing a great job. And we're now going straight on to our today's Swayam, mate. How are you doing?
Hi, James.
Nice to see you, buddy. Come in. Oh, so I feel like again with the other guys I've known them for a little bit longer. But you're someone kind of like quite fresh into sort of like the fold here, right? Like you turned up here at Network School, like 2 weeks ago or something?
Yeah, I just came in the October quarter.
Yeah.
Even after the conference, so a bit late.
Oh, okay. So you had that was like a weird first start, for the month there, right?
Yeah.
Like we just had Token 2049, the Network State Conference. Check it out on YouTube or on X if you want to see all the things that were relevant for us, right? But that was a crazy start to the month where like everyone was going to the conferences all sort of like day, and then God. So what would you feel that was your first real day here then?
It was on the 4th, right just after the conference.
Yeah.
Everything silent, everyone tired.
Yeah.
I was completely exhausted so I came actually a week before to Singapore for all the meetings that we had.
Mm-hmm.
So I was waking up at 7 in the morning, on the roads by 7:30.
Yeah.
And sleeping by 2
Yeah.
at night. So it was,
everyone was just completely dead.
Yeah, I was completely exhausted. I came here at night with the bus.
Amazing. I did it a couple times as well.
And completely like it took me at least 3 days to come out of the exhaustion.
I'm still recovering because we threw it immediately for a 2-day conference here, which is amazing, and you'll see more of that. But still sort of like recovering off the back of that. But like, why did you come here in the first place? Again, you were heading through for Token sort of like anyway.
Yeah.
Like why Network School? Why did you end up here?
So I've been very curious about the entire concept first, and I was following Balaji for a time, for at least for last few years, and I saw they launched Network School last year. So I did read about it. I was following it. It was exciting to see all the things happening here, and the most important for me was to have a high density of people where they are building, and that energy and the conversations, that was what I was looking for.
Yep.
Because all the time working remotely and not having that proper group for conversations. That was what I was looking for.
Yeah, amazing. And do you feel that it's sort of like matched those expectations?
Yeah, 100%. So I ran into so many good conversations, which I would probably not be able to do it anywhere, at least at this frequency.
Yeah. So I mean, where were you before here? Where's home?
My home is in Amsterdam. I stay in Utrecht, close by in Netherlands.
I've actually been there a long time ago. I was meeting the CEO of Thijsbezorg. I think I'm saying it wrong. Do you know?
Yeah. Full delivery.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So like a very long time ago, I was in food delivery, and I had a bunch of Dutch angel investors, Joe Patrick, and actually we drove out with Patrick and his like he had like a wicked like little sports car. We like drove out to Utrecht and caught up with I'm forgetting his name sort of like now. But yes, even I've been to Utrecht.
Not many people know about Utrecht.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Amsterdam.
Completely. Yeah.
I usually go by that kind of Amsterdam, but
it's super near, right? It's like 30 minutes on the train or whatever
20,
it is, right?
25.
Yeah, 20, exactly right. It's a minute. But okay, so that's home. And what were you doing whilst you were in Utrecht?
I've been there almost 8-9 years now. Mainly Web3. Like I went to Netherlands especially just for Web3.
Why in the Netherlands for Web3?
It's a question that I get repeatedly, and it's a very interesting one. So back in 2016-17, I was in India. I got into Web3. India had a very bad sentiment, not something that I saw productive environment to build something. But back then, my thesis was if Web3 really needs to get the adoption and it needs to be experimental, it's too new, and it needs a willingness to try that, and it will foremost come from more smaller countries rather than bigger countries. And at the very core, it is all about governance and orchestration. So you need a higher level of deployment and support. So I started looking for more smaller countries where I can actually be there and how I can move there. So Singapore, South Korea, Japan, and Netherlands was my top options.
Interesting.
And Netherlands was the most cosmopolitan and more English. Language barrier was relatively less. And I just took the call. I got the admission. I did my postgrad there. That became the reason to go there. That's how I ended up there. And it was really good because back then Dutch government was really putting a lot of resources into Web3, quite happening ecosystem. Now it's a bit dumbed down after COVID, but it was a good, I actually ended up working with Dutch government for the blockchain architecture for one of the project. So that was super good. A lot of opportunities, a lot of momentum. Good community in general back then.
Yeah. And then this is now home, and this is where you're staying.
Yeah, this is where I stayed back. I've traveled a lot in last few years, but I've not yet found a better place to live.
And does it suit what you're working on now? What are you building at the minute?
Yeah, so past year we've been into R&D, and we are building this decentralized AI training infrastructure. It's called Sora Chain. So mainly, if you ever heard BitTensor or worked with BitTensor, very similar part. But for edge training. So mainly orchestrating and coordinating the training at the edge.
So let's talk about that in a lot more detail, because I guess that there's like a lot of people that are trying to build decentralized systems for AI at lots of different levels of the stack. You talked about the training level of the stack. There's also a lot of people that are looking at that sort of like level. So let's dive in a little bit more, I guess. Like, what is...
So I think we can break down the entire AI stack by three. One is data. One is training, and the third is inference. Now, most of the startups that we have seen, at least coming from Web3, initially were data, like Ocean Protocol. A lot of them trying to get value on data, but data in itself has been difficult to get the price discovery, like how do you actually value the data? But in general, data is great. Like deep-in projects are trying to aggregate and sell them, or having the hardware to aggregate the data. That is one way to do it. But then the question is, how do you actually get the data which is actually locked and will, due to compliances and all different regulations, you cannot get them out and cannot centralize the data. and that became the core question that we were figuring out.
Yeah.
So if you take entire training landscape, most of the data, textual data on the web or anywhere in the world has already been inputted into the LLM to train them. So it's already like we are already at the scarcity level of good data, and most of these models are now depending on synthetic data.
Yes.
For at least for the textual data to train the model, but synthetic data is only as good as your model, and it's garbage in, garbage out problem.
Sure.
It probably works for all general purpose, but as soon as you go to specialized thing, you need high quality data. And this is very critical for, let's say, healthcare, life science, or anywhere there is a deterministic answer required.
And I guess this is the point, right? Again, we've run out, all the public data, whether right or wrong, whether with permission or not, public data has all already been scraped and ingested, whatever it is, right?
Yeah. So
and
it's
again,
expected that we'll run out of public data by end of next year.
Yeah. And I guess this is the point,
everything,
right? With the current approach to building these models, they require a ton of data to sort of improve, right?
Yeah.
But we're running out of the public data. I don't know the proportion, right? But I think the basic point is there's a lot more private data than there is sort of like public data.
True.
And the question is like, how do we access that private data when the point is it's private? Right,
exactly.
Like you don't want to give all of your, whatever it is, everything that you've created on Drive or in your whatever it is, right? You've written on your notebooks. You don't want to share that for the world to
even if you want to share, there's no right way to do it. Like there are tools and probably few platforms for creating that incentivization mechanism for you to share the data. But it's too passive. Like there is no feedback loop to it. Like what happened after you trained it, and it's just one step thing. And then misses the layers on top of that. What we are essentially going towards is how do we actually bring models at your hand, which is basically a smartphone or laptops, and it could be any hardware where it is capable to run a model locally, and let's say a bit more sophisticated hardware where it could actually also train, so a bit more of RAM and storage capacity. So that's what we are looking for, and we train very small quantized SLMs on your device for very specific cases, and then we aggregate the weights. And this is actually called federated learning, and this was actually built by Google back in 2016 for when they were doing Gboards. If you ever use Gboard or Siri, it uses federated learning. So at the very core where we are moving, I think the way decentralized AI works is going to become the core of the next wave, because centralized is already getting cumbersome, especially for the data part.
Do you want to talk in a little more detail about that federated learning approach?
Yeah, sure. So like if you break down the entire AI landscape, or let's say what is decentralized AI, and there are probably three pillars that comes out, which is performance, privacy, and verifiability. Like think like a triangle. And then if you map this with blockchain trilemma of scalability, performance, security, and if you map it together, there are a few things that really maps in, because then blockchain really helps you to provide what it does the best, which is provenance, governance, and orchestration. And that's where this makes a lot of sense. And federated learning by definition is decentralized. Like it runs locally at your level, and like the best thing about this is your inference is free then, because you train your own model at your own device. It builds the local deep context for you. So currently in AI, the biggest problem is context. Like talk to GPT, Anthropic, anything, you need to provide all the way you are thinking, what is an expected output for you, but it still misses the entire sphere of your life where you're coming from. And that context is going to be very, very, very valuable. And this is not just for us as a end user, but think like doctors who need a co-pilot on their own journey on how they do, let's say, surgery, or any technician how they solve a problem, or any professional who is doing their own job, but has its own authenticity of doing it. And that basically a generalized model would never be able to capture that. And that's where we are building this infra.
And there's like multiple levels of that, right? Like even if you use the doctor as an example, right? They want to share data that they have access to with a model, but if you're sat there and you're like, again, you're like dealing with a patient, like it's obviously private data, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like you can't, you know,
Yeah.
you want to share. And I guess that you part of what you do is bring the model to the data,
Correct.
as opposed to sending the data to the model, which I think is really interesting. Do you want to like talk about? I think it's a really great phrase, but yeah, talk a little bit more about what that means or how that works.
It's very simple. So federated learning is where the model comes to the data. With the rest of all the AI happening right now is like you take the data, centralize as much or aggregate as much as data you can, clean it and give it to the model for training. What we do is we bring model to the data. Now, this could be anywhere, this could be any device, and it could be for anyone. What we are solving is orchestration, like how you as an individual could coordinate to collaborate on a model to train it to, let's say, thousands of other humans or thousands of other doctors or institutes. It could be anything. We are generic at or agnostic at the infrastructure level.
Yes.
And you can spin off your own dedicated networks to do a very specific job.
And I guess like, you know, again, the doctor is wanting to use the model, but at the same time is training the model. Is it like, again, in combination that you're always doing these things sort of like together and you're always training your like local version of the model whilst you're also helping. Again, you bring the model, but then you send the model back and you improve the model. So what we,
I'll explain how that happens. So doctors actually come at a later stage, like the end users or let's say individuals are probably the last leg of the adoption. What we are essentially going for are the research lab hospitals, universities who are already doing this research, but they're isolated in the research. Like as a university, maybe you have affiliation with, let's say, a couple of hospitals in your region, and maybe a couple of other universities who you are collaborating to do the research with. Now, how can we scale this to, let's say, 10,000 entities or 1 lakh entities across the globe, where they can just contribute, join the network to train what they do the best. Now, this is not just for healthcare lives or anything. If you have any friends or anyone who has done PhD, their core half part of their work goes into finding out data and building out systems on where they gather the data from. So if we can actually directly provide them a infrastructure where they can already go and collaborate with other researchers working on the same problem, their data enlarges, diversity in the data increases, which is better for the research. But at the very core, they can focus on the research and not on data or how to gather the data.
Yeah, like you said, this is an orchestration and a coordination problem, right? It's like it's difficult enough for a few people to agree and to coordinate and share this sort of like data, right, and the benefits. But I guess you're building a protocol that can allow basically infinite numbers of people to contribute data. And just like dive into it as well. So if you imagine that, right, there are these hundreds of researchers that are, you know, that have useful data sets, right, and they can contribute that to the training of a model. Is that like a very separate phase? So they're maybe like using a model that they then have access to because they have been someone that's kind of like training it, right? So I guess there's also like a reward function, right? The point is that again that you're orchestrating not just the work itself, but actually like a reward for the work. And I guess that you're weighting the value of different, weighting the weight of the contribution to the weights of the data that you're doing, right? And then rewarding people for it as well. Just talking about that.
So it's different. So as a researcher or as a research lab, right now, they don't really think about monetizing it. Like it's research. It just stays on the paper. And it's it's academia, how they work. And that's okay. But the core part is right now what they're looking for is more data. So let's say if I'm doing a skin cancer research, if I have, let's say, a data set of 1,000 patients, all that I need to train, I will train my model for sure, and I will do the research on that. But now that data is limited. The diversity is not much, like probably from the same demographic. What I need is more data, much more well labeled, and maybe generalized across different geography, demographics, as well as where you are from. Especially geographically. That is not being captured anywhere. So let's say if I'm University of Oxford and if I want to collaborate with, let's say, University in Tokyo, probably there are affiliations that could happen, but there is no trust for, let's say, from going from two parties in a affiliation to, let's say, 20 to 200 to 2000. Because there is no trust. Like, how do you ensure that no one really poisons the model or the data? So what essentially happens is you as a Oxford train your own model internally, which you are already doing it. The only thing here that changes is you upload your weights and gradients of the model to the global model, which is basically something that we are orchestrating.
Yeah.
So there are more 1,000 peers contributing to the same thing and learning from the same intelligence. So at the very core, the raw data stays where it is. This is by default.
Yep.
And you can add all different privacy-enabled technologies on top of it.
Yep.
Like you can use ZK if required. You can use multi-party computation. You can use TEs to aggregate the entire global model. So it's modular. Like if your use case requires highest level of security, you can add that to the entire infra. Most essentially, the weights that gets shared to the global model is where the core value is, because you as a researcher, maybe the data was the most interesting part for you, why you started this, but then the model becomes the mode, because that model is not available anywhere.
And then this is also, so who get, again, so like, amazing example, right? Like you've got a whole bunch of skin sensor kind of like stuff, and it's split in, and so everyone can't just share those private kind of like patient kind of like records, but actually they can bring the model, train it with this, and then send the weights back. And this is done by like 1,000 institutions. You end up with something which is not trained on 1,000 pitches, but is trained on 1,000,000 pitches.
Exactly.
It's much better. So who gets to use this improved model in the middle? Anyone that's contributed it to it, or is it different rules depending on the model?
Yeah,
How does
so
it work?
I think how we are thinking about is anyone who is spinning off this infrastructure for training can define the rules for this. So if they want to keep it permission, so let's say banks training for fraud detection, they can, maybe there are only 100 banks they want to participate across the world with, they can keep it permission. But essentially on what we are building, the value is on inference and capturing the actual use of it. So let's say skin cancer, millions of data points, you trained upon it. Now imagine anyone in Malaysia having a report, and especially for skin cancer, and uploading the report there, getting the best oncologist advice you will ever get. And that is where the capture of the value is. And how we are thinking about this is, because we are recording the training metrics on the blockchain is our provenance. We can record the timestamp, weights, where it is coming from, and the device it is coming from, or the institution. So we can reward them back equivalent to how much they have contributed to the model.
And it's the contract, because again, this is one of the challenges, right, with people like with the AI labs that are trying to buy this private data. Again, the people with the private data don't want to give it, because obviously there's risk there. Then how does a buyer understand the quality of data, or like how useful or how beneficial that's going to be to the model that they want?
So there is no matrix, right? So if you're, let's say, aggregating the data and selling it to me, I have no way to test it, or let's say verify that this is exactly the high quality data. What we are going for is incentivizing on the training performance. So if you made your model better by, let's say, 5%, you are rewarded on that 5% and not the data. So even if you had 10,000 patients data, but if you just made it by, let's say, 3% better, that's what you get. Like our core element here is to go for high quality data and reward for that.
And then how are you grading, or how do you know that the model has got better? Like what benchmarks are you using
so
to
basically
assess
we can
performance?
run a different performance testing on the model. So this is where the subnet owner, or the one who is starting, becomes very important, where they can define the metrics on what exactly is required as an output. And you can already test it, because locally you already have that model, and you are testing that locally. And as soon as you upload it on the global model, there are millions of other points which are also contributing to the same global model. So you can check pro rata basis what weights came from where and how much they made it better. And that becomes our verification technology or algorithm in which how we reward them back. But this is like, for B2B, this could be even passive, like they are probably not interested in the rewards. But as soon as the model really gets matured, the loss gets minimized as much as they can. And when the inference kicks in, that's the most valuable part. Like, let's say $1 pay per query for inference on cancer data. Like it opens up to the entire globe, because it's trained on entire globe data.
That is super interesting. And again, like this is very quickly moving from theory and research into reality, right? And people can use it now.
So there are already a lot of consortiums which have already tried this. So there is Cancer AI Alliance in the US, which are doing probably with 50 other hospitals and research bodies in US. Now, problem is they cannot scale beyond US, and because of all different compliances, they currently use cloud to do the aggregation. Now, this is where we come in, and that's where we are building our own infrastructure to scale this, where if you are, let's say, 50 participants, and if 51st is joining in from anywhere in the world, they don't have to trust the other 50, nor the 50 have to trust this 51st one. And this is actually like, it's blockchain. That's how Bitcoin works. That's how Ethereum works.
Yes.
And we are not really rebuilding that stack. We are just using that to make this happen.
And so when can someone come and use it now? What's the sort of like situation?
Yeah, so we are mainly doing pilots right now. We are signing up pilot partners. So we are doing one dedicated subnet for personalized learning, where we are partnering with a smartware glasses open source company, because vision and audio just builds much more depth of context, which we need to first, we are much more curious to test that out. That's our first pilot, and few of them we are doing with biotech and probably banking.
So who should reach out to you to run a pilot? Like, what's the sort of like ideal?
So ideal would be anyone who is looking to experiment and having difficulty to get the data and scale this globally. So this could be biotech. Biotech is something that I'm personally more excited about, because that is where you can actually solve the problem. But other than that, even if you're doing any deepin or DSci or robotics thing, that is also very interesting, because think robots, like think a swarm of drones, each having its own model running in and learning from each other. And it's a continuous learning. It's super useful in wars or like any defense technology, because then you don't depend on one, and you also don't even require Wi-Fi or connectivity, because you are already updating as soon as you learn from others. So it just builds so much in-depth context. But this same applies to, let's say, warehouse robots, which are doing optimization of warehouse management.
It's pretty flexible. Again, away, right? Again, it can, again,
it could be used anywhere. So we are agnostic at our level. What we are doing is orchestration and coordination. And this could be at individual level. This could be a robot, or this could be a big organization. Anyone could be very flexible in using this, and this is what we are building.
No, super cool. So where do people find you? How do people get in touch?
So best is to find me on probably Twitter, and we have this handle called @SoraChain _AI. So that's the best place to drop a message.
SoraChain, SORA chain _AI on Twitter. Okay, amazing, cool. Well, go and check it out. Thank you very much for being here as well. Thank you for listening to another episode of ARC kind of like live. I hope you come and join us kind of like here. Maybe you can be sat in this chair kind of like next month. Again, here you can join on the 1st of the month, any month. There is a rolling intake for both ARC and Network School. You can join in, come and live in paradise. Lock in has been the theme for this kind of like session, but just build and make stuff happen. So, thank you so much for being here today. Look forward to speaking to you again. Cheers.